Welcome to Ecstatic Yoga. I am Grace. Welcome to week 9 salutation. We're going to be moving through a surya namaskara C, sun salutation C, maybe weaving a little warrior flow into that. So you can see how we can move into a full standing practice or to move down to the floor. And we're going to be bringing a focus this week. One of our lessons is cueing and modifying poses. So we're going to do a little bit of cueing, adjusting, modifying, bring a little awareness into it. Please don't skip that lesson. This is just a little bit of information that we're going to be adding to complement that lesson. And we're on week 9, so we're focusing on this Anahata heart chakra, the Manomaya kosha, the mental emotional body. So today I want you to begin to take a look at that manas, that mental part of your being, uh, and the thought streams that pass through the conditioned um, programming that has been conditioned into this mental aspect of our being, and knowing that this this has been developed through cultural conditioning, through our families, through assimilating from the moment we were in the womb, downloading energetically and assimilating the energies of the culture you were born into, the family, the community you were born into. And it's not you. You are this higher Vijnanamaya Kosha, wisdom mind, and this Anandamaya Kosha. That's what you are. That's where your higher mind exists. And this Manomaya Kosha, this lower aspect of our being, is something we need to operate as a physical being. However, it can be really clouded with a lot of delusion, a lot of illusionary, disempowering thoughts, pain loops. And that's really common for all human beings. And we're all conditioned from the moment that we're born. Our DNA has programming in it, our culture, every single one of our experiences and how we interpreted that, what we made it mean, even though it may not be aligned at all with reality or truth. It's what we created as a meaning for us and an interpretation that we believed. And we have to work through this lower mind. We have to work through these denser aspects of ourselves to refine them, to align them more with reality, with truth, with the love that we are. And knowing that this manas deeply affects the emotional. So mental and emotional body are both included in this manomaya kosha. And our thoughts can deeply impact our emotional well-being and our state of our emotional health. So we're bringing an awareness to it, and we've talked a lot about this Vedic map of the mind, and so this is where those aspects of chitta and manas and anakara, this is where they exist in this manomaya kosha, this lower mind, where the past memories of chitta and the fears of manas, and then the identification in the ego of anakara, are all in this lower mind, this manomaya kosha. Now, as the lower mind moves into clarity, it moves into alignment with this higher mind, we need this lower mind to drive. We need this lower mind to balance our bank accounts and manage our finances. We even need it to eat and walk down the street. So it's not a part of us that we want to reject. It's a part we want to refine and align with the truth of our being, the truth of our wisdom body, our Vijnanamaya kosha, and our Buddhi mind, our higher intelligence, our divine self. And so let's move into a little centering, and then we'll move into our Surya Namaskara flow. Feeling the sits bones on the earth, taking a few breaths, You can drop that breath down to the belly, let that prana move all the way down to the pelvic floor as you expand the belly on the inhale, and then you feel that navel coming into the spine on the exhale. And taking a moment to scan where you're at, how you're feeling, and you can first start scanning that Anamaya kosha, the physical body. And this pranamaya kosha, the energy body. Simply noticing without judgment where you are in this moment in time. And then this manamaya kosha, the emotions and the mental and emotional bodies. Noticing and feeling fully. Oh, John. And take this moment to set an intention for yourself. And take a few moments and luxuriate in seeing this intention fully manifest in your body and feeling all those beautiful emotions that you feel as you are fully manifested in this intention. And releasing that intention with a this or better, this or better, this or better. And let's come up to a standing position. And we'll shake out the body a little bit. Moving around, wiggling, shaking the shoulders, the legs, the arms, coming into that body. A little bit of twisting, warming up that spine. And moving into our surya namaskara C, which is a nice warm up as well. And then coming to the front of your mat, feet are hip width apart, we'll move into mountain. So the first thing with cueing and adjusting and modifying is verbal cueing. So we can just verbally cue before we need to physically adjust or even verbally adjust. So we'll verbally cue. And mountain, and with every pose, you always want to start with foundation. So the feet are hip width apart. You can take your fists and make sure that that's it, hip width apart. And after we set that foundation where our body's connected to the earth, excuse me, of course, with mountain, it is my feet. If I was in boat, it would be my sits bones, a little bit of my sacrum. So depending on the pose, it varies where our foundation is. Whatever part of your body is connected to the earth. And then we move into alignment. So as you would prompt your students into poses, you cue them into the foundation, and then cue them into moving into alignment into the pose. Mountain is such a simple pose, but it's a really great way to practice the Anusara loops and a little bit of the spirals as well. So you can start with that ankle loop as you lift the arches. Sometimes when I lift the toes, I feel a lift of my arch. It's not necessary, but that's one way. Engaging the calves in shin loop. And then in Your thigh loop, it starts below the knees. So you're going to feel a lift of the knees. You're going to feel these quadriceps engage for your thigh loop. Energy goes down the hamstrings. And then pelvic loop, you just want to bring this pelvis into neutral. Kidney loop, you're going to feel a lift of the ribs. Shoulder loop, you'll feel that energy come right between the lips and it's going to go back. So the shoulders are going to go back and then it goes down the back. Shoulders are going to drop down. And then our skull loop, the very center of our head and lifting up. You might feel the spine lengthen. You might feel yourself grow a quarter of an inch taller when you move into skull loop. And then we're going to inhale those arms up. And we're going to move into a gentle back bend, a little extension of the spine. And then on your next exhale, you're going to hinge forward. So feel that pelvic tilt forward as you hinge at the hips into your forward fold. And in forward fold, you can come down to blocks. Important thing is that the hands come down to either your blocks, blocks are downstairs, or the earth. And you can bend those knees. It's better to bend the knees as much as you need to get the hands down and be solid and not have them hanging. Resting in forward fold. There's variations here. You can bring the hands behind the calves. You can grab onto these elbows. Hands back. And then inhale, let's coming up to half forward fold. Feeling that head and that spine reaching out away from the body. And then exhaling down. And then on your next inhale, lifting the head and the heart and bringing that right leg back behind you. So now my foundation, the feet are still hip width apart and they're parallel like railroad tracks. They're parallel. So that's my foundation. I'm going to come up and move into alignment. And as you cue your students, you cue that knee right over the ankle, that back heel reaching back, back thigh engaged. These hips are square, so this is where you can invite them to square their hips. If you see someone way out of hip alignment, you can come back behind them if you've gotten permission to touch them and gently square those hips. So the hips, the right leg is back, that right hip moves back a little, and so you're going to move the right hip forward, the left hip back a little, and then readjust that foot. And then the arms are going to come up, and you're going to find that shoulder loop in your shoulders. So the shoulders are going to go back and down. And gazing forward in your high lunge, bringing that knee back over the ankle. We're always adjusting as we move through the pose. Squaring the hips a little bit more again. And sometimes we move out of alignment. We just back in. Engage the bodies and breathe. One more deep breath. Bottom of the breath, bottom of the exhale, bringing the hands down to the floor, left leg back into downward facing dog. Or surya namaskara, moving into walking the dog. So the hands are shoulder width apart and the feet are still hip width apart. Moving into your down dog as you relax those shoulders, heads right between the hands. You're feeling the heels and the thighs coming back, but a slight tuck of that tailbone, almost energetic. And breathe in your down dog. Deep breaths. I'm going to move into plank. I'm going to adjust my foundation, make it a little bit wider for plank. Hinging into plank position. Fingers are spread, and you can move into chaturanga as you bring the knees, the chin, and the chest to the earth. Elbows are in, and inhaling into an up dog. We'll do our baby cobra next. So feeling those thighs on the earth, and you can also lift those thighs up off the earth in up dog for a little more. And you can do that on the tops of the feet or curling them under. And then we're going to curl those toes back under and move back into downward facing dog. And we can walk the dog a couple more times, or you can just take a couple breaths in this nice inverted position. Heels and heart coming to the earth. Slight external rotation in the upper arm, slight internal rotation in the upper legs. External in the upper arms, internal in the upper legs. And moving back into high lunge on the other side, we're going to lift the head and the heart. We're going to bring that right leg sit or walk it right up between the hands and move into a high lunge here. So the legs are, again, hip width apart and parallel. So that is our foundation. Nice wide stance. Moving up and moving into alignment. So you can cue your students, again, the same way. The knee is right over the ankle. Now my left leg is back, so I'm going to bring that left hip forward a little and right hip back. Back thighs engaged, back heel is reaching towards the earth. I'm going to engage the bandhas and breathe, bring the arms up. Shoulders are relaxed down and back. Gazing forward, I'm going to readjust that knee over the ankle. And square those hips a little more and breathe. Always adjusting as you breathe through the pose. And on the next exhale, bringing the hands down to the earth, bringing that left leg back, moving into forward fold. Relaxing the head, maybe a gentle yes, no. Inhaling, coming up to half forward fold. Back down into forward fold. Next inhale, lifting our head first and the heart and hinging all the way up to your mountain. And now we're going to move into another Surya Namaskara, adding, going through some modifications and adjustments that for each pose. So inhaling into your mountain, feeling that nice back bend. Exhaling, coming up. And a nice variation modification for mountain is half moon side angle. So moving from side to side, opening up each side body. And continuing with that, I'll be right back. I'm in the middle of a live yoga with my yoga class. Thank you, no worries. No, live yoga. Yeah. I love my yoga teacher thing. Thank you, Jeremy. And coming back to center, and we're going to exhale as we tilt that pelvis forward, hinging at the hips, coming all the way down. Beautiful job. And here we are in forward fold. A nice, we have some variations, which we talked about, grabbing the elbows, hands behind the calves, arms on the back. Let's inhale up into half forward fold. Exhaling forward fold. And a nice variation. So with forward fold, some of the modifications is really bending those knees, using your blocks so that you can be in this pose. A nice variation is a nice twist, so you can bring the left hand right into the center a little above the feet, and then you can reach that right arm up. So you're into a nice twist in your forward fold. Nice modification. And then exhaling down, and let's move to the other side. Right hand in the center, left arm up, and breathe. And exhaling back down. And we're going to move into our lunge. So we're going to lift the head and the heart and bring that right leg back behind us. There's a few modifications. You can stay here instead of rising all the way up. You can keep the hands down onto the earth. That's a nice modification. You can drop that knee down to the earth, and you can be in a nice low lunge, but come up. You can move into twists. Lots of different ways to twist in your lunge. And another is lunge rocks. So I love once if you come down to a low lunge, it's always nice to feel a nice rock as you lunge forward, sink those hips down towards the earth. And as you lunge back, straightening the leg, flexing and extending that front foot, and keeping that breath flowing. And remembering with cuing, there's a few different ways. There's the follow the leader is most well used, and it's as you cue the students in, you're also doing the same thing. So you can be saying straightening that front leg, doing a stretch, flexing and pointing that foot. Or you can be walking around the room and just verbally cueing without modeling the pose. And you can use a little bit of each. So coming back to center, we're in our surya namaskara, and we're going to curl those toes under, and lift up, and let's move up into a nice high lunge for now, and bend that knee. And we can do a twist here in our high lunge as well. Hands behind the back. A lot of different variations in your lunge. You can bring one hand down to the earth, the other up for a twist. And then we can move from here into Virabhadrasana 1. So high lunge and Virabhadrasana 1 are very similar. That back foot is anywhere from 45 to 35 versus they're both aligned parallel 90 degrees pointing towards the front. So there's a little difference. We're going to square the hips just like if we were in Warrior 1. So that back thigh engaged, front knee over the shoulder and over the ankle, and then bring the arms up into a nice, beautiful Virabhadrasana 1. And breathe. And from here, You can move into some of the warrior flow. So this is a nice variation where we can move into warrior flow. You can move into warrior two, and that's opening those hips. So the front knee is still right over the ankle. The hips, rather than squared, they're open. They're wide open to me. That back foot is again 45 to 35 degrees, like Virabhadrasana 1. Those hips are open. And then we're gazing out over those front fingertips. And the opportunity is to move into that warrior flow. Right from your surya namaskara, you can move into your reverse warrior. Opening up the chest, back hand on the back leg, and breathe. Inhaling into the extended fingertips and swooping that front arm to rest on the front leg. Back arm comes up alongside. A couple different ways. You can either swing that this way or back. And feel that beautiful side angle. Very little weight here on this front arm. And breathe. Bond is engaged. One more breath. And then straightening that front leg. You move right into your triangle. You can use a block here or the earth. Gaze up at the fingertips or not. Legs are straight with a little micro bend in your legs. Nice twist. Inhale, reaching those fingertips up. Exhaling them down. Bringing a hand on either side of the front foot. You can adjust that back foot to 90 degrees. And resting in your pyramid. Moving into revolved triangle, Viparita Trikonasana. Right hand is rooted into the block or the floor and twisting the left arm up. And breathe. Next inhale, reaching into the fingertips and then exhaling that hand down. And we move back into Virabhadrasana 1. And we can move into our high lunge by adjusting that back foot to 90 degrees, squaring those hips, bringing that knee right over the ankle. Beautiful. And then we're going to take a nice deep hill. Inhale, reaching the fingers up. Exhale, bringing them down to the earth as you move into down dog, bringing that front leg back. And now we're in our down dog. We can do a little walking the dog. Lots of variations here. A nice way to cue walking the dog is to cue one heel dropping down to the earth, opposite knee bending in. And breathe. Some variations with your wrists. You can move up into teacup. You can move into your fists to take some pressure off your wrists. Beautiful. And then we move into plank, a nice variation for plank. Of course, always is half plank. You can move into your half plank, and push-ups are lovely. You can do a few push-ups, toning those arm muscles. And then coming all the way down to your belly. We'll move into a baby cobra first. So there's a few variations here. We'll do baby cobra and a locust here for today. So bringing the hands so they're right below the shoulders. Elbows are in close to the body. Feeling the legs and the pelvis pressing into the earth. So we're not going to use our hands like up dog to push us up. We're going to use that back to bring us up. And breathe. Beautiful, and releasing down. And turning the head to one side and resting a couple minutes, couple breaths. Back to center, bringing those arms alongside the body, bringing them out a little ways, pressing that pelvis into the earth again. That pelvis and the tops of the front thighs, the quadriceps, the knees, the tops of the feet are our foundation for this moment. But as we move into the pose, we're going to have just this pelvis pressing into the earth. That's going to be our foundation. So as you next inhale, we're going to lift the arms and the legs and feel that pelvis pressing into the earth. Feel that foundation. The head and the heart are lifted, and breathe. Locust, bird, airplane. It's got a lot of names. One more deep inhale as you raise up, and exhaling, coming down. And let's turn our head to the other side for a couple breaths. And coming back to center, and we're going to push ourselves back into table for a moment. There's lots of things you can do in table. We're not going to do that today. Curling those toes under, and we're going to move back into downward facing dog. And we can walk the dog here. And a beautiful variation in down dog is our three-legged dog. It's a nice balance. And so we'll lift first that right leg up, doing your best to keep those hips still square. So you don't want to, for the moment, until we move into the bend and the hip opener. But when that leg is up, you can bring it up as high as you want, but you want to keep those hips square. And then we're going to bend the knee and we're going to open up the hip. They're no longer squared. And feel that nice opening of the hip and breathe. One more breath. And exhaling that leg down. And we'll move to the other side. Kicking that left leg out behind you. Keeping those hips square for a moment here for a breath. Bending that left knee and opening up the left side for a nice hip opener. And breathe. Both arms are strong. Little micro bend in the elbow. One more breath. And bringing that leg down. Beautiful job. And we're going to look between the hands, walk, step, or jump that right foot between the hands, and move into our variation of a lunge. So we can be here in a lunge. We can have that knee down. A nice low lunge. We can have the arms up in our low lunge. We can move into some lunge rocks. You bring that back knee back a little and sink that hip down, bending that front knee, rocking forward, and then rocking back as you straighten that right leg out. Nice stretch on the right leg, little flexing and extending of the foot, keeping the breath flowing. And coming back to center, and the invitation here is we can move into that warrior flow from here. Coming up, we can move right into a warrior one. We can take that back foot, adjust that foundation, square those hips, knee right over the ankle, arms up, and we're in Virabhadrasana 1, warrior 1. And breathe. I'm going to switch sides for you so you don't have your back to me. The right foot is forward, Virabhadrasana 1, and we can switch real quickly by opening up those hips, bringing those arms out, and we're already in our Virabhadrasana 2. And gazing out over those front fingertips, and breathe. Moving into reverse warrior. Back arm to the back leg, front arm reaching up, heart is open. Making sure that knee's back over the ankle. Beautiful job. And breathe. Next inhale, reaching into the extended fingertips, and on the exhale, swooping that arm to rest gently on the front thigh. Back arm comes up alongside the body in your side angle. And breathe. Very little weight on this front arm. And there's a lot you can do with this front arm besides be here. You can have it behind your back. You can have it hanging down. Finding what works for you. I like this, and I cup the hand like there's a little bit of water in that palm of that hand. One more breath. And straightening that front leg. Move into Trikonasana, bringing that right hand down to the block or the earth. Left arm up as well. You can gaze up at the fingertips, or you can keep that head in alignment with the spine. Nice little micro bend in each knee. And breathe. In Trikonasana triangle. One more breath, inhaling into the fingers and exhaling down into pyramid. A hand on either side of that front foot and just relaxing in your pyramid for a couple breaths. And then moving into reversed triangle. Left hand is on the earth as you twist away from me and raise that right arm up. And breathe. Nice inhale, reaching into the fingertips, exhaling that hand down, relaxing into pyramid again. And then moving into your high lunge. So adjusting that back foot so it's 90 degrees again. Front foot 90 degrees, they're hip width apart, like railroad tracks. Finding your high lunge or those variations. Squaring those hips, bringing that knee right over the ankle. Back thigh is engaged. Feel that shoulder loop where those shoulders come down and back. Gazing forward. Inhaling into the fingertips. Exhaling those hands down to the earth as you bring that left foot back into your Uttanasana forward fold. Find a variation that works for you. Inhaling into half forward fold. Exhaling down into forward fold. Maybe a very gentle, slow, yes, no, relaxing any tension in the neck. And on your next inhale, we're going to lift the head first, the heart first. Bring all the weight of the head up before we hinge up. And then hinging at the hips. Giant angel wings. And let's move into one more Surya Namaskara C to our breath. Exhaling into our Uttanasana. Inhaling, half forward fold. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, high lunge as you bring that right leg back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bringing the left leg back. Inhale, we're going to swoop right into our up dog. And exhaling into down dog. Inhale, looking between the hands, bringing that right foot up to high lunge. And exhaling down into forward fold. Inhaling into half forward fold. Exhaling into forward fold. And on the next inhale, lifting the head, lifting the heart, coming all the way up into your beautiful mountain, bringing those hands together, bringing them in front of your heart in Anjali Mudra. Beautiful. And taking a moment to bring that love and that energy into the heart, bringing your awareness to this Manamaya Kosha. And as we breathe and as we move, we are giving that Manamaya Kosha our tune-up, quieting the disturbances of the mind, and the mental, and the thought realm, bringing our mind quiet so it can align with reality, calming the emotions. Beautiful. And as we're really bringing our focus to this Anahata heart chakra, we're going to move into standing yoga mudra. We're going to clasp the hands behind us, open up the shoulders and the heart. Begin to hinge forward into a nice standing yoga mudra. Focusing on the heart and bringing love into the heart. Our self-love focus is really bringing love into our own heart. And breathe. One more breath here. And releasing the hands, bringing them down to the earth. Coming down to a seated position. And let's come all the way down onto our backs. Let's bring those feet into the chest and rock a little bit, releasing that lower back. And moving right into our Savasana. Moving into a nice relaxation Savasana pose on our backs. And taking care of yourself if you need a blanket or a pillow or something under your knees, or maybe a jacket, socks, whatever you may need. And resting in that beautiful heart center, taking a moment to move into Pratyahara. Pratyahara, bringing our focus into Pratyahara helps tune up this Manamaya Kosha as well. Noticing the inner sensations from that standing flow. And relaxing physical Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manamaya Kosha. Inviting every system, every cell, every molecule in your body to relax deeply. Taking a nice deep breath into the belly, maintaining that deep connection to your heart, that self-love, beginning to wiggle the fingers and toes, stretching out the legs and the arms. And rolling over to one side or the other. Taking a breath here. And when you're ready, coming up to a seated position. And taking a moment to check in, scanning the being, all these koshas that we've been practicing this week, our week of koshas, the sheaths and layers of the body. Bringing some special attention to this Manamaya Kosha, this mental and emotional body. Noticing where you're at. Are you activated in the lower mind? Any pain loops or disturbing memories coming back? Sense of ego identification, identifying yourself as just this body and personality, and letters behind or between or after your name? Or are you identified as a non-physical presence, divine, infinite, whole, and holy? And we're going to complete with just a few minutes of mantra meditation. Mantra is a really powerful tune-up for the Manamaya Kosha, focusing the mind in this mental body so that we can get out of the routine, the disturbances and distractions, and find that silent stillness. So find your mantra, whether it's the mantra of your practice, maybe you've been given a mantra from a teacher, or maybe you want to use Om, that primal sound of the universe. Asat Nam, maybe love, peace, joy. You choose your mantra, and will be a few moments of few breaths as you silently repeat this mantra to yourself. Finishing up with your last breath, taking a moment when you're in this quiet space to bring yourself back to the intention you set, feeling that emotional benefit, seeing yourself there vividly. And releasing that intention with a this or better, and we'll conclude with namaste. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is of love, light, truth, and peace. When I am in that place in me, and you are in that place in you, we are one. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for our week 9 Siri Namaskara salutation. I'm wishing you a most beautiful and most blessed day.